Yo, what's up gang, and welcome back to another dope tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to produce deep house music. One of the most common and popular genres at the moment. There are many different kinds of deep house music, but its very beginning has been in the year 1986. Since then, it further developed until today. Its primary characteristics are the 4 on the floor drum rhythm, meaning the kick is always on the beat on 1, 2, 3 and 4, sounding like this. Secondly, its percussive bass sounds, or in general the bass line is very important in this genre. And the third characteristics are the catchy melodies and vocals. There are so many artists who are producing deep house music, such as Felix Jaehn, Tiesto, Robin Schulz, Lost Frequencies and dozens more. Let me give you some examples.
Because I think that I found myself a cheerleader. She is always right there when I need her. Don't be shy, shy, shy. La 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 da 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 da.
But now let's listen to the track we break down today, and let's jump directly into the project file afterwards.
I don't know where we're going, what we're searching for now, but I have only reason. Keep you close, searching like when the sun goes down. But when the sun goes down, I don't know where we're going, what we're searching for now, but I have only reason. Keep you close, searching like when the sun goes down. But when the sun goes down.
Alright, so first things first, the build-up. There's not that much to say, but let's break it down. So at first, let's get to the build-up drums. It's basically just a filtered snare, but let's listen to it. Yeah, that's it. So let's get to the bass. This is a simple Reese bass I made with Serum. So it's just a saw wave with some unison and detune and a high pass filter. No effect, so it's basically just a saw wave, sounding like this. That's already sounding pretty epic. So then we got the piano sound, like this. So it's sounding like the typical dance piano sound. And yeah, it's just 2 presets I used from the Analog Lab V plugin. And it's 2 piano sounds I used, and obviously I added an EQ for both of them to cut the low frequencies, the unnecessary low frequencies. And then I grouped both of them and added an OTT, another EQ and utility for sidechaining reasons. Then let's get to the effects and to the atmosphere sounds. These are just some downlifters and uplifters, an impact sound and atmosphere stuff. Let's listen to all of them. Yeah, and already the last thing in the build-up is the vocal. That's just a sample from Splice, so nothing special, but let's also listen to that.
I don't know where we're going, what we're searching for now, but I have only reason. Keep you closer tonight, but when the sun goes down.
Yeah, so as you can see, I processed it a little bit. So let's listen to it without all the effects.
I don't know where we're going, what we're searching for now, but I have only reason.
Now with the effects.
I don't know where we're going, what we're searching for now.
It's sounding pretty different because I used this plugin named Little Altar Boy. So it's making a difference in the tone of the vocals or in the format, as you can see here. If I just turn off this plugin, it sounds like this.
I don't know where we're going.
And with the plugin, it sounds like this.
I don't know where we're going.
So a pretty big difference. Short break before we continue with the tutorial. Make sure to follow me on Instagram because I'm posting there producer tips and tricks weekly as well. Also, if you are looking for a ghost producer or just someone to help you with your audio projects, make sure to check out my Sound Better profile, link is in the description. But now let's continue with the tutorial. Alright, so now let's get to the drop. As always, we start with the drums. As I said before, it's the typical 4 on the floor rhythm. But I started only with the kick and the hi-hat. Then in the second bar, the claps are added. And then in the third and fourth bar, I also added another hi-hat loop to make it more groovy. Yeah, that's already the drums. So let's continue with the bass. One of the most important elements in this genre. So as I already said, it's the percussive bass sound that makes this genre kind of unique. So let's just listen to the bass. Yeah, so I used different techniques. First of all, I made the bass line. And as you can see, I sometimes pitched certain notes 1 octave higher. That's to make it just more interesting. Then it's really important to layer sounds. If I only would have used this bass sound, it would maybe sound good but really thin, because you have to stack the sounds and layer them. So I added another 4 basses and together they sound like this. And then the 5th bass is the sub bass, sounding like this. Pretty thick on its own, but all in all it's sounding fat. Another trick I used is with this bass layer. As you can see, I pitched all the notes 7 semitones up, so it gets a special tone. Let's listen to it without the 7 semitones up. And now with them. That's a common technique to make it more sound like jazz. Yeah. And then I also have these automations. And the automations are controlling the filters inside of Serum. So the automations are opening the sounds more on these certain parts. Listen to it. Yeah, I always group my high and mid basses and I also have my sub bass on its own because I process the high and mid basses pretty much to make it sound fat. As you can see, I added another EQ to get rid of the low frequencies, 3 OTTs, a saturator, also a wider plugin. That's pretty important for the bass sound to make it wider, obviously, make it more stereo sounding, and another overdrive, so a distortion plugin, and another EQ and a compressor. Obviously I also sidechained them, but that's all the bass sounds. Let's continue with the instruments. So as we already had the piano sounds sounding exactly the same as before. And then I added a brass sound. That's also pretty common because it felt a bit empty, so I added this brass sound to make use of the frequency range more. Yeah, and in the third and fourth bar I have a plug sound. And this plug sound has exactly the same rhythm as the bass sound, but I also played around with the notes and it makes it sounding more interesting. And we also have the drop melody in the third and fourth bar, sounding like this together. Yeah, here it's also important, like I said with the basses, to layer your sounds. I have 4 different layers here, and then I grouped them and processed them again with OTT, saturator, utility to sidechain them with the kick. A reverb, that's pretty important because I made a reverb automation to make it more interesting in between the breaks of the notes, and also an EQ to get rid of the low frequencies and a compressor to control the volume. As you can see here, I panned these layers also to stereo image them and to make it more like stereo sounding and feeling, so I panned them left and right and left and right so it gets bigger. Yeah, and now let's get to the effects. There's nothing special to say, it's basically just some, yeah, as we had before, some downlifters like here. Here something like a whoosh effect. An uplifter. And another texture and atmosphere sound here. And another atmosphere sound here. And that's the effects. Then in the first and second bar I have the vocals, and in the third and fourth bar I have the drop melody. But that's basically the whole song. Alright, that's already the end of this tutorial, so make sure to like, comment and subscribe. See you in my next video.